support the motion, walikuwa 115. I support, walikuwa na mtu yoyote alikuwa ana support. Kinangop constituency, I don't support, walikuwa watu 75. I support, hakukuwa na mtu yoyote. Walikuwa watu 169. I support, walikuwa mtu mmoja. All Kalau, I don't support, walikuwa 911. Mtu yote alikuwa na support. Kipipiri, I do not support, walikuwa 1,104. Kwa na mtu yote. The total number of people who do not support the impeachment as at today 5 p.m. ilikuwa 2,562. Na wenye wana support ni mmoja. And the total number of votes, the number of fields, public participation forms returned were 2,560.
The list of state witnesses that have sworn affidavits to appear before the National Assembly so that they can give their witness statements to nail the Deputy President Rigathi is very ridiculous. And without much ado, I want us to look at that list so that we can also interpret, because it's giving us a political hint on something that the country had been speculating for quite so long. I want us to get into those details. But guys, I have something very urgent that I could not avoid. This lady here is called Juliet Akinyi. Juliet comes from somewhere Gwasi in Suba. The 18-year-old girl did her KCSE last year and got B plane. So she studied in God Olo Secondary School. Juliet was supposed to join Murang'a University to do agricultural engineering on 27th August. Today is 5th October. Of course, thank God there have been some instabilities in these institutions due to strikes one after the other, and the delay even on the lecturer strike. So we've confirmed that she can join. But Juliet had not gone to Murang'a because of the fee and the other requirements needed. I have called Juliet. Immediately I was told about this. I've called her. She's currently coming to Nairobi. So on Sunday morning, Juliet will be here. I'll host Juliet as I try to fundraise for her so that we can take her to school on Tuesday. I think Wednesday after we had, I hope when there will be no protest, or when things shall have calmed down. On Wednesday morning, Juliet must report to Murang'a University for that course. So this is very urgent. I know we've just come from Baby Becky, but this is equally very urgent. And I just realized kwamba, yeah, I was told and there was no way I could turn elsewhere. So according to what I've told, and I've also spoken to her, the parents are quite unable, and she really wanted, but she's tried and it's not been possible. So we've already facilitated her. She's coming to Nairobi. I promised her we'll take her to school on Wednesday. So send me anything you have there to make sure kwamba tumeweza kufanya hii. Now, apart from this, I also want one of us, and I know we have so many people here, mwenye anaweza jitokezea am sponsor. Nikishampeleka, just like we did for the Meru student, nikishampeleka, tukishafanya hizo vitu zote mpaka mpata nyumba, then one of you aendelee kumsupport, and me I'll just be the link. I know that is also something that is very, very important. But kindly first, let's support to ensure Juliet join Murang'a University on Wednesday. I've promised her that is going to be possible, and it is through us, Team Bold Charity. Now, I want you to listen to this story of this lady. I want you to listen to this story that was done by Nation.
Amid concerns over his whereabouts, NTV has learnt that since Tuesday, Gachagua has held back-to-back highly secretive meetings with the lawyers who will represent him in Senate should the National Assembly make good its threat to send Gachagua home by impeaching him and forwarding his ouster motion to Senate Speaker Amason Kingi. Among lawyers spotted in Gachagua's current residence is lawyer Paul Muite and lawyer Fred Ngatia, with NTV told that Gachagua will be represented by a battery of 8 lawyers who will be led by Paul Muite. The lawyers have been going through all 11 charges that Gachagua has been charged with and guiding Gachagua on how he will defend himself, especially against charges that will be leveled against him by 3 key witnesses, among them someone who sits across Gachagua in the topmost decision-making table in the country, the cabinet. The first witness who will testify against Gachagua is former KEMSA Acting Chief Executive Officer Dr. Andrew Mulwa, who in his sworn affidavit to the National Assembly has accused Gachagua and his last-born son Keith Rigathi of interference in the issuance of a 3.7 billion shilling mosquito net tender to ensure that the tender goes to Shobika Impex Private Limited. The second witness with a bone to pick with Gachagua is Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, who in his affidavit has fingered Gachagua for opposing the relocation of traders from Nairobi's Wakulima Market to Kangundo Road Market, which is a decision of the county government and not of the office of the DP, and thus a violation of the principle of the separation of powers. The third witness is Secretary to the Cabinet Mercy Wanjau, who in her affidavit has accused Gachagua of opposing the evacuation of Nairobi residents living within 30 meters of the Nairobi River, yet the cabinet in which Gachagua sits had approved the evacuation. While Gachagua has been at his residence preparing his constitutional fight back for the better part of this week, his wife Dorcas Rigathi and son Keith have been at the corridors of the Milimani Law Courts. Dorcas and Keith Rigathi want the court to exclude Morani Manufacturers Limited, which they own, alongside Joshua Waiganjo, from the list of 16 companies that Gachagua allegedly used to amass to himself 5.2 billion shillings in the past 2 years through corruption and money laundering, as mentioned in Gachagua's impeachment motion. The third director of Morani Manufacturers, Joshua Waiganjo, is the same man who was arrested for impersonating the Assistant Commissioner of Police for 5 consecutive years, but acquitted in March this year after complainants failed to testify in court.
Since June 2022, that company has never dealt with any business dealing. It has never done any transaction for the period or the duration of time. Dorcas, Wanjiko, Gachagua, and the son have been a member or directors of this company.
It manufactures pig feed, and the most that is transacted in that company is 132,000 thereabouts.
That account has only 2,232 shillings and 20 cents.
The 3 lawyers for Dorcas and Keith have revealed that they will also return to court next week to ask the court to compel Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Mutuse to remove their 2 clients, Gachagua's wife and her son Keith, from Gachagua's impeachment motion.
They have spoken about 20 lawyers that are going to defend the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And then they've spoken about the 3 witnesses that have sworn affidavits against the Deputy President. I've listened and I've looked at that list, and that list is ridiculous. Let us just break it down one by one. Johnson Sakaja is the governor of Nairobi. The Sakaja's decision, I don't know, first, I don't think Sakaja has advisors. Sakaja's choice as one of people to swear affidavits against the deputy president erodes the seriousness and purely projects the impeachment as a personal vendetta. No one, and of course political observers and Kenyans who follow the politics of the day know very well that the deputy president and the Nairobi governor are actually very enemies, are very big enemies in this country since last general election. So when you pick Sakaja, and let me just play for you the very latest video when there was this issue of Nairobi, and Sakaja hit out at the deputy president.
Sijui siambiwi nini at that level, surely. Ile wale watu wanasema alikuwa na introduce kwangu, walikuwa wamenichagua kama seneta wao. Na hata kama uliniombea kura, na nakushukuru, lakini uliniombea kura wewe ukue governor wa Nairobi ama mimi? Au uko unaniombea kura ndio wewe ukue governor wa Nairobi? I'm the elected governor. Na ile kitu tunafanya Nairobi sio ya kabila hii ama kabila lingine. There will be order in the city of Nairobi. Rest assured. We will do things the right way. And we will take care of everybody's interests in a fair manner. Kuenda kudanganya wananchi ati soko inahamishwa ati inauzwa is not responsible for a leader. It is completely irresponsible to lie to the people on their face because of cheap populist ethnic mobilization. Hiyo sitakubali Nairobi. I will not accept it. We will sit with our people. Hao wenye anasema ni wake wamekuwa watu wangu tangu 2012 nilikuwa chairman wa chama yao. 2013 nikakuwa mbunge. Nimewafanyia kazi, nimewatetea kama senator. I love those people, but I love all the people of Nairobi. So hizi kuwa tukifanya hii, hapana rudi nyuma. Tukidila mambo ya matatu, hapana rudi nyuma. Hiyo sasa pale imefika, we will not continue like that. Sawa sawa? Ama mlichagua magavana wawili? Watu ya Nairobi. Si ni mmoja? Ni Mjamo. Na ngumi ni ngapi? Si ni Mbwekse. So msiwe na wasiwasi. Na mimi naelewa pressure yake. Unajua siku ya nyani ikifika, miti yote inateleza. Hiyo pressure ambayo yuko nayo na wasiwasi. Ile mambo inakuja kwa bunge, asiletee watu wa Nairobi. Hiyo asituletee. Hiyo adili nayo huko, naombe Mungu wake sana. You cannot go and insult your president indirectly. Unaambia president wako to keep your house in order. How can you do that? Experience is important. Kuna kitu inaitwa Official Secrets Act. You cannot go to TV and expose what happens that the president has told you something directly. It is wrong. It is completely wrong. So wale ambao wako na kibarua mnajua vile hiyo kibarua yenu vile mtatekeleza. But this country has one president, William Samoei Ruto. Na Rais Ruto anafanya kazi na baba Jacom engineer Enigma.
So I think Sakaja's work is well cut out. And the irony here is that a governor, Nairobi governor, is also a leader that can face impeachment anytime. In fact, he has survived impeachment attempts just because he has a bromance with the ODM leadership in Nairobi. Sakaja has survived impeachment attempt by MCS because ODM MCS are close to him and because Sakaja reports to Baba. It's not a secret. So first, it's not in good faith because what has happened between Sakaja and Rigathi has been a political difference. Rigathi believes that the traders that Kenya Kwanza promised that they will be supported should not be harassed, or rather should not be moved out, as Sakaja says. But I think the movers of the motion think that they will use Sakaja to run the politics of Mulima, that in Nairobi, There are developments that are supposed to be done, but Rigathi declines because those things affect Mount Kenya. And the very first fallout between Rigathi and Sakaja was about some buses. I don't know, there were some buses that were coming from Murang'a and some Mount Kenya counties that were to be moved out of town, and there were protests. And then Sakaja defended them. So, or Rigathi defended them. Now, the choice of Sakaja is wrong because himself, he's also unpopular. He's part of the team that when people are saying waende wote, he's part of that waende wote. And he should, in fact, the movers of the motion should avoid elected leaders. Governor, senator, no. So already it is a bad choice because it's also going to charge the Senate. Really? You use the city governor to say affidavit against the deputy president. And in fact, Sakaja is setting himself up against Rigathi constituency in Nairobi. And someone should not lie to you. You know, we lived in some utopia that Rigathi Gachagua is some village crook. No. Rigathi has people in this Nairobi. So clearly, even political operatives around Sakaja are just digging for him a grave. It's a big blunder on his side. The other person is the secretary to the cabinet, Mrs. Mercy Wanjau. Now, Mrs. Mercy Wanjau is accusing Rigathi of contradicting the government position on moving people, those displacements. And I think something is wrong with the movers of this motion. I don't know. Some of these things are not well thought out. Because you are accusing Rigathi of contradicting a cabinet position. So what they want to say is the cabinet agreed that those who stay around Nairobi River, 30 meters around, people should stay more than 30 meters away from Nairobi River. So those houses that were close to the river are to be demolished. And they said it was a cabinet position. So this is something that was very unpopular. So when the members of public see that you are hitting Rigathi because he opposed unpopular, something that oppressed the people, how do you even think? How do you even get into that? And let me tell you, this affidavit refers to this rally.
Mimi najua nimeona iko shida ya watu ambaye walibomolewa, si ndio? Na nimeona mumeandika vizuri ya kwamba mteue kamati ya watu wachache ndio mkuje niketi na nyinyi. Mtakubaliana? Mimi ningetaka wale watu ambaye walipata shida hii ya ubomoaji, ambaye ni kitu tulikuwa tumeahidi wananchi haitafanyika kwa serikali yetu, mimi ningetaka niwasikize na nitapanga na mheshimiwa Meja Dong wakuje ndio tukue na nafasi ya kuongea. Tumekubaliana? 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 Ya pili, serikali yetu imetangaza ya kwamba tutarudisha ile mpango wa kazi mtaani. Kazi mtaani ndio vijana wetu wapate nafasi ya kufanya kazi. Tumekubaliana? Tumekubaliana? Kwa hivyo hivi karibuni mutatangaziwa mambo ya kazi mtaani ndio vijana wetu wapate nafasi. Ya tatu, ningetaka pia kuchukua nafasi hii kuuliza maafisa yetu ya usalama, maafisa wa polisi wasihangaishe vijana, wapatiwe nafasi wafanye mambo yao. Tumekubaliana? 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 Kwa hivyo vijana, mimi nimeshukuru sana. Na mnajua mimi vijana ninapenda nyinyi, si ndio? Si ndio? Na mimi nitapata nafasi nikuje ndio tuweze kupangana tukiendelea mbele. Kwa hivyo pia nataka nimshukuru mjumbe wa area hii Mheshimiwa Meja Dong kwa ile kazi ambaye anaendelea kufanya katika area hii.
This is a rally that William Ruto Rigathi did some 2 weeks ago. He attended a church service in Kayole, was hosted by Meja Dong. And after that, some people whose houses were demolished and they were not compensated lined up, and Rigathi addressed that matter and even organized, said that he was going to have a meeting with those people. And remember, that is where Rigathi's troubles with William Ruto started. So those who normally say insubordination, it is that rally that they refer to, that William Ruto, that Rigathi Gachagua disobeyed, disrespected his boss. And the disrespect here is that Rigathi contradicted, or rather Rigathi opposed what they had agreed in cabinet. Now, the presence of Mercy Wanjau, the affidavit by Mercy Wanjau, brings in some two perspectives. Number one, she's from Mount Kenya. Okay? So someone wants to project and someone wants to tell the country that amongst, even from the cabinet, because he's secretary to cabinet, from the cabinet, even those from Mount Kenya are the ones that are against him. That's number one. Secretary to the, and that is what she wants. That is the card number one, that it is from Mount Kenya. Number two, Mercy Wanjau, as the secretary to the cabinet, brings up the perspective that even within the cabinet members are uncomfortable with Rigathi's conduct. And in fact, this is well supported by a video I saw. Alfred Mutua, I had shared it. I'll not share it here. I had shared it. Alfred Mutua led public participation in Machakos. And I think I asked here, is it legal? Is it illegal? You know, is it something that is allowed? Or is it just in order? So it also looks like just, you know, and I think even if they were looking for things to pin Rigathi down, they would have left that one. Because displacement iliumiza watu. So people who are displaced, and I remember I did a project. I did some fundraise. I fundraised some around 50,000, if I'm not wrong. I think 100,000 to give to women whose houses were demolished in Mukuru kwa Ruben. So those people, maisha yao ilikuwa disrupted. Rigathi defended them. Now, if these people will see that you are already nailing someone who defended them because the government oppressed, aren't you antagonizing yourself with the people? It's not well thought out. The other one is that Andrew Mulwa. That Kemsa scandal. I analyzed it here, so I really know what exactly happened. There was supposed to be the tendering process, and allegedly Rigathi Gachagua, this is what the newspaper reported, that Rigathi Gachagua's office tried to influence so that that tender could be given to a company that is allegedly allied to him, linked to him. But now it was for supply of mosquito nets. But I think the global organization, I don't know whether it was World Health Organization of which one, I can't remember well, realized that the company that was listed, that had been given that tender, did not have the capacity, and in fact, the procurement procedures were actually were breached. And so they cancelled the tender. So the truth of the matter here is, Kenyan taxpayers, we lost money because the tender was cancelled, and when it's cancelled at a cost. But it is a scandal that was botched. It didn't happen because their financiers, I think it was World Bank, if I'm not wrong, the World Bank realized that money was going down the drain and that company was not going to supply what was required. And so they cancelled the tender. So, and again, look at what they picked. KEMSA. KEMSA is riddled with corruption scandals day in, day out. our hospitals do not have drugs, while KEMSA have money and rolls out huge tenders to import drugs from abroad, but those drugs don't get to public hospitals because cartels in the middle reroute the drugs to private facilities. So look at the choice of using KEMSA, and you know, this is a rotten house. You know, if you want to link it with some clean organization, Maxwell, and again, Andrew Mulwa is someone who was involved in that corruption, and he was even knocked out. So even take someone who's guilty to come and testify. Looks like another cooked affidavit for personal vendetta. And there's so on and so forth. I was just asking around. There were members of parliament who were supposed to testify against the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, but after the public participation, some of them have chickened out. Do you remember, there was a video, do you remember this story of Rigathi banged the table and confronted the president? It was an MP to testify. Frequent and allegedly they said that MP was supposed to come from Rift Valley. Now, do you remember the story of, Rigathi, assaulted one of the bloggers? An MP was also supposed to testify on that. And there are other stories about, he solicited some support. There's so many things about the MPs. And after that public participation, I'm glad it happened, because I told you, it was a game changer in all this. Even Kimani Ichung'wah that had been vocal, I'm waiting to see what they're going to say on Sunday, how they're going to react on Sunday. I'm so keen to see their reaction on Sunday. Had gone quiet, now had to go quiet. So some of the members have also knocked out. The other team, other affidavit that was expected was some stakeholder from the coffee sector. Now, Rigathi Gachagua was given a role on coffee and tea reforms. So reforms, there have been some reforms, but of course, coffee farmers, not so much, not a big impact has been felt. So, do you remember when Kimani Ichung'wah moved around the country saying that there is some section of the coffee, proceeds from coffee, that goes to Rigathi? So, this was also needed so that they can set up Rigathi Gachagua against the agricultural community in Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya is most depend on coffee. So, if they were able to get the stakeholder from the coffee sector to break down something on that issue, then they would actually show that the deputy president was not just self-seeking, but even when he was given that job to do, he did not deliver. Remember, they need to convince the country that the deputy president has failed to deliver his mandate, because he was given that sector of coffee subsector. The other one, that there was also someone supposed to testify affidavit on the Nairobi River, official on the Nairobi River Commission, one of the people that had been, you remember when a commission was formed to clean Nairobi River, and Waititu was named in that commission, Rigathi Gachagua was supposed to be in charge of it. Now, last month, William Ruto went there with Sakaja and launched some project on climate works to clean Nairobi River. So, even to that extent, there was an affidavit to explain to the country about the fact that the deputy president even failed to deliver on that Nairobi River. It is not yet confirmed whether that is also there. The other one is some figures from the security sector. And the figures from the security sector will try to explain to the country about the fate of drug abuse, illicit brew. What happened around the illicit brew? Because some said that some companies were closed and others were opened. Then those that were opened were linked to Rigathi and this and that. There's so many shenanigans around even that. It is not yet sure. So those are some of the affidavits that are expected. As to whether all of them will be admitted by the Parliament or even the Senate, it is a matter of wait and see. I want to interpret something in these affidavits. If you look at these affidavits, there is something very common with them. And there is something it shows. They show clearly that the cabinet was backing Rigathi removal. And in fact, the movers of Rigathi impeachment is not Mwengi Mutuse. I agree, of course. Mwengi Mutuse is just a gun for hire. He's a loaded gun for hire. This impeachment came from the executive, and to be specific, the president. The other issue that is also coming out here, the impeachment is 70% personal vendetta and not a matter of principle, as the promoters will want the country to believe. Promoters are saying that because of the tribal discussions, because of the politics of isolation with the Mulema thing, the region is isolated in terms of development. They're saying that some parts of the country feel that the deputy president is antagonizing unity call. And even on that one on corruption, that the deputy president, Kenyans, has been amassing a lot of wealth since he became the deputy president. But all that is based on vendetta. It doesn't come out. That doesn't come out. If you look at those figures, like bringing Sakaja in it, big blunder. I repeat. Movers of this motion, to some extent, they were unprepared. And after they realized that Rigathi is not going to resign, they started procuring affidavits. Because some of these affidavits looked just a last-minute rush. I may be wrong, but I don't see if the state was prepared, because it is not very easy. You know, the reason why they're not prepared is because of what next. No MP wants to be personally liable. No one wants to be personally responsible for it, especially from Mount Kenya. And remember, they're the ones that are pushing for it, the Kimani Chungwas and the caucus. So they're not prepared. I think what they thought was, when we push this, and remember when it started, 300 MPs have signed, Rigathi is going home. So I think it was supposed to be a lot of threat so that Rigathi resigns. But when they realized now Rigathi have decided to go, and with the latest story that he has lined up 20 lawyers, they were caught off guard. Now, the witnesses that have been named there erodes the trust in the process. It erodes the seriousness. I think they would have picked people that are not in the limelight. They will not have picked the governor to swear affidavit against the deputy president, because people see that, okay, this is not about the deputy president, this is about the fact that Rigathi and Sakaja doesn't get along. So much to be spoken. Number three, or lastly, perception that state machinery is weaponized against Rigathi is more tragic than the impeachment itself. The more you show the people that you have marshaled the whole government to nail the deputy president down, the more the people feel to align with the oppressed. So I think there is a lot of homework to be done on this. And I think by Monday, better part of Sunday until Monday, we'll be able to know what exactly is in stake. Thank you.